Hey craft buddies, I am in full-blown Christmas DIY mode over here, as you could tell by my getup and my sweatshirt, and I am so excited for today's video because if there is ever a season that you should break out your Cricut, it is definitely the Christmas season. There are so many amazing things that you can do with the machine, and I know so many of you guys are intimidated. It's sitting collecting dust. Not today. We are going to get you conquering that Cricut to make some beautiful Christmas decor. You're watching Whiskey and Whit. My name is Whitney, and a huge welcome back to my craft buddies who are with me each and every week to craft. I am going to make you feel the Cricut confidence today. We're going to be making a ton of Christmas stuff, and I've got so many free files for you, so there is no barrier to entry. We are going to get you off and rolling and creating this Christmas. I am so happy with how this first project turned out. I had to have it lead off this video. We're going to dupe these Norman Rockwell tea towels. They're selling a set of 2 for 40 bucks. So here's how I'm going to get that Pottery Barn look with files that I have. So this Santa is from my free file library, and I just removed the background. I will have these 2 files that you can just upload directly. Then I also made my version of some greenery with a bow that I liked that matched my dining room, and then this vintage Merry Christmas. So what I'm going to do is first size my Santa. I want him to be about 4 inches wide. And then I decided I wanted this file to be just a little bit bigger so it'd hang over each side. So I'm going to select both of them, and I'm going to align them horizontally. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to scooch this up. So then this is over the top of our cute little Santa. I'm going to select all of this. And I'm actually going to make the width 4 inches. So the Santa's a little smaller because then this is going to be 6.5 inches tall. Once you get it where you want, we're going to hit flatten. Then we're going to do offset. Kind of mess around with it until you get it as tight as you want it to be cut out. We're going to hit apply. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go down here to contour and hit hide all contours. That's going to remove all of these little pieces in the center. So you're going to have one big piece that's going to be cut instead of having holes in it. If you want the holes, you can leave it, but I did not want that. So here we go. Then we're going to change this to white. Select all of it. Flatten again. So now you've got your 4 inch by 6.4 inch item for your napkin. Next I'm going to click make, and we are going to come over and see if I can fit 2 of these on one sheet to print. So here we go. We're going to turn this guy, and then we're going to select this one, move the object to this one, and then we're going to turn this guy and pull him down here. I don't know why Cricut does this, but it is what it is. So then we are going to have our 2 things, and we're going to hit continue. It's going to ask us to send it to the printer. So we're going to send it to the printer, find your printer, and you're going to print per the instructions. So mine says print on the side that is not logoed, so you have to do that per your printer, but we're going to print this regularly. You don't need anything special, just straight through your system. We're going to print it out and then use the machine to cut. It's basically like cutting cardstock. You're just going to pop it on your mat and cut. So the product that I'm using is this Trans Our Dreams Light Fabric Transfer. I originally bought this to make tags for my sewing projects, and I thought, hey, I wonder if I could do this and dupe those towels, and it worked. I was so excited. So all you're going to do is print it out. You're going to make sure that the top left corner has an arrow pointing up. You're going to put it on a regular mat and then follow the packaging instructions. There's a bunch of different places that sell this type of printable HTV. I just really like this one because it kind of melded into the fabric. You'll see when I apply it. It's going to read all of the lines on there, and then it's going to cut it out for you. And the first time I did it, I did the regular pressure, and I kind of had to pop everything out. You want to make sure you're peeling your mat back from your project instead of just ripping it like a band-aid off the top. And then when I went through the second time, I changed my settings to more pressure with vinyl, and it was much better. This was the point of the project where I was like, okay, I could see this working. I thought the outside was going to be white, but just wait, it turned out so much better than I thought. I took my Easy Press, but there are instructions for iron application as well, so you don't need to have an Easy Press or heat press. What you're going to do is carefully peel the logoed piece off the back if you're using the same brand as me. If not, check your packaging. And at first I was like, am I going to rip this? But actually once I got started, I just used my other hand, held it, and carefully peeled it back. Then I set it where I wanted it, and I topped it with a Teflon sheet. These actually came with a Teflon sheet. I just have these nicer ones already in my craft room, so I went ahead and used that. I pressed it at 330 degrees for 90 seconds, putting firm pressure, and that Teflon sheet is going to protect both your project and your heat source. Then once I pressed it, I gave it a final little jiggle around, pulled it off, and you guys, this is my reaction. It worked. Oh, yes. Oh, that looks so good. Needless to say, it turned out even better than I hoped. I love these. They're going to be the perfect addition to my gingerbread / traditional Christmas / bow dining room this year. I can't wait to get that all decorated and set up. And these would be also really cute with a bow, or you could also use them as hand towels. The great thing about this is you can wash these. You want to let it sit for 48 hours, and then it said wash on cold. So I'll have to test that out, but this would also make a really cute hostess gift, and I'm so happy with how this came out. If you love gingerbread decor and traditional Christmas like me, you are going to love this next one. We're going to start by taking some plastic shatterproof ornaments, putting them on this contraption that I made with a box and some bamboo skewers, and spray paint them warm caramel. You can also paint them by hand or put paint on the inside, whatever works for you. While those were drying, I cut out gingerbread faces on my Cricut, and this is a file from Etsy that I cut to 3.5 inches. I grabbed the girl face as well as the boy face, but there are a ton of other free options. I will link a couple like Design Space and free options down below, but this creator did such a good job making the face that was right up my alley for the vintage vibe I was looking for. Then I'm going to take the white pieces of the eyes and apply them to the face. And I'm using parchment paper to help line them up, just because there have been so many times I have tried to apply layered vinyl and you go to stick it down, it sticks in the wrong spot and you ruin the decal, which is such a pain. So here I am just using that parchment paper to slide and make sure the eyes are the right size, because the boys' eyes were a little bit bigger than the girls and I cut them all at the same time. Then we're going to use that paper transfer tape, stick it down, and then peel it up just enough so you can just slide that parchment paper out. And you're going to get your eye, like the whites of the eyes, right where you need them. So parchment paper, huge, huge help when you are layering vinyl. Now, because there's a few different pieces going here, I ended up doing just the black part of the face as well as the whites of the eyes, and then I added the red by hand. And here, as I'm applying the paper transfer tape, I'm doing that because it's lower tack. I don't want to peel up any of that spray paint. And also, it's easier to crease like this. So you see how there's a crease between the cheek and the eyeball? That is going to make it so your vinyl doesn't crease. So just don't push it down fully. Push down your mouth, push down your nose, and then push down your eyes, and that will really help with bubbles. Then, like I said, we are going to fill these little areas with the white part of the nose, red part of the nose, and then I just had to match up the cheeks, but it was really easy to do by hand, so it's not something that you need to layer. Just with the way that the white went on the nose, it was just easier for me to do it this way. Then to finish them off, I used some of this Dollar Tree gingham print ribbon I just got, but it was not in the Christmas section. This, I think, is actually Valentine's Day or 4th of July, but this is the motif that's in my dining room. So I grabbed a bunch of those, tied and cut it off, and then I used a paint marker to do a little squiggle around the outside, and boom, these are the ornaments of my dreams. I love them so much. I can't wait to get them on my gingerbread tree. I think they are so, so cute. And this is a great project to practice layering with, because the ornaments are inexpensive and you can try and try again. That is the best advice I can give you for your Cricut. Just try and learn from your mistakes. I normally don't do a lot of cardstock projects here on my channel, but I want to push myself to get out of my comfort zone. And one of the ways I did that was by making this light bulb garland. Let me show you how you can take my free file and make your own. For our garland, the file represents one Christmas light. So here, all the red pieces will make one Christmas light. So depending on how many lights you want in your garland or your ornaments, you're going to make that many. So here I've got all these pieces, and before you duplicate this to do different colors, what I want to make sure you do is select both the red and the line on these 5 shapes, and we're going to go down here to attach. Make sure you do that for all of them, and we're doing this first before we duplicate, because then it's less attaching we'll have to do. The reason we're attaching is because it's going to let the Cricut software know that you want this score line to go down the center. And you also want to make sure that you change the Christmas light up here from basic cut to score. So we're going to do that on all of these, because if you don't change it, what it's going to do is it's just going to slice your piece in half, and we don't want that. So head to score, and then it's going to change to this little dotted line instead of a straight line. So that's how you know you have successfully changed it. Okay, so we've got all of our score lines, we've got all of our different pieces. So then what I'm going to go ahead and do is select everything. You can either go up here to duplicate, or you can do copy and paste on your system. So then everything is on here when we click make, but what I'm going to want to do is hit 2 times because I want 12. So I made 6, so we're going to cut enough for 12. And then it is going to slot everything onto the paper. So for my ones that I'm cutting on 8.5 by 11, I'm going to change this so it slots everything on there for me. Same thing with my gray. And then we're going to load the mats and cut. I decided to load up my gray and black pieces first so that I could be gluing those together while the other things cut. I hate to just sit there and watch my Cricut cut. I want to be doing other stuff, so I try to be methodical in the order that I cut them. I don't just do what Cricut tells me the order to cut them, and that's just me being type A and wanting to do that. So I'm going to do the score lines with my scoring stylist. You can also use a scoring wheel on a maker machine if you have that, or you can also just fold them in half yourself. Just cut them out, remove those lines, and you could fold it yourself. I think it makes it easier and the process goes quicker, but it's not a must-have. It's going to go through and score all those lines, and then it's going to go through and cut all of those pieces to fit the bulb shape. Then we're going to eject our mat, carefully peel everything off. And then as the other colors were cutting, I was putting together my pieces. Like I said, I want to be efficient, but here is a full breakdown on how to put them together. So step 1, take your gray piece and use some glue to attach it to the black piece. Make sure that it is the right direction, and I'm using some of this Barely art glue that I like. It comes with a really thin nozzle so you could get things in detailed slots. Then we're going to put some glue on this bottom black piece, and that's what is going to hook the top part of our bulb down to the actual light piece. Then we're going to take all 5 of our scored pieces and fold those in half, and then we are going to glue the sides together to create a honeycomb. Once you have all of those glued together, then put some glue on that bulb piece that's on the bottom, and that is going to anchor your honeycomb. Glue it down, make sure it's straight, and then let it dry. Now you don't have to go as crazy, obviously, with the colors. I made that for my craft room, but I also made 2 gift toppers in traditional colors, so really the sky's the limit with this file. It's so cute on presents, or it would be a really cute ornament. But for the garland piece, I used some hot glue and attached it to some jute twine. I did a couple fingers space, so like 2 fingers in between each, and I also made sure to leave some slack on either end. I first was going to glue it right near the end, and I was like, don't do that because you won't be able to move it. So I made sure to give myself some slack depending on where I was going to hang it. But then once I got it glued in the right spot, we were cooking with gas. I moved further down and got all of mine glued, and this brings such a fun pop of color to my craft room. I love having color in here. It helps with inspiration and getting me excited to create, and I am so happy with how these turned out, so I'm so excited to be sharing this file with you guys. When it comes to your Christmas cards, did you know your Cricut could address them for you? Let me show you how easy it is. So step 1 is to measure your envelope. Mine is a standard 5x7. So I'm going to insert a square. I'm going to make it white just so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to unlock it, and I am going to do my 7x5. So then this is going to be my guide box. Then what I'm going to do is type out my address. So now that I have that, I can mess with my line spacing. So I'm going to actually decrease it. That is going to decrease, as you can see, the amount from one line to the next. And then I'm going to go up here to find a writing font. So what I like to do is select up here, and you are going to want a writing font. It's just going to look a lot better. So then I'm going to go through and find a font that I like. Next, I'm going to go to Images, and we are going to go to Draw, and you can look for either free or paid ones depending if what you have. But I'm just going to search Christmas. So now that we have this, we want to make sure that everything is going to be in the right spot. So I'm going to make sure that this is attached. So everything but that guide box is attached. We're going to put this where we need to put it, and then we're going to line this up in our guide box. Then you're going to select your guide box, and you're going to do Hide Selected. Then that way you know it's all lined up where you want it. We are going to hit Continue. And then we're going to load our pen into the machine, and then it's going to do all the work for us. So when you put your envelope onto your standard mat, make sure that it's lined up with that 1x1 corner that we used. And then you're also going to want to insert your pen. That's how it's going to be written on. Cricut machines usually come with a pen, and there's also alternatives on the market. I just like to use the Cricut pen. It's as easy as snapping it into whichever slot your software tells you to, and then hit start. We're not doing any cutting here. It's just going to get to work and write for us. So all you have to do is hit start and sit back and relax and watch it do the work. Now, if you have multiple cards, you could also find different points to anchor them at and add multiple files. So you could probably do 2 envelopes on here. It would be hard to do like hundreds of them, but for a few of them, these look so pretty. It looks like you put the extra effort in, and that is always what I'm looking for. I want to look like I tried super hard without having to take a ton of time. I will have this file over in my Design Space profile if you would like to update the information and use it yourself, or just kind of use it as a guide to mess around and figure out what you would like on your Christmas cards. This next project is full of Christmas magic, and you only need a couple pieces of cardstock to pull it off.
We always use this lamp every night when we read books, and so I thought it would be really fun to put a surprise on the inside for Christmas, so when he turns it on, he'll see it. So I'm going to start by measuring my lampshade. So we are about 7.5 inches tall and roughly like 30 inches around. So 7.5 by 30. We're going to head over to Design Space and create the file for this.
So step 1 is you need your file. This is in Design Space. This is a free file over in my library, so you can check the description for more info on that. What I'm going to do is take those measurements I just got and add a rectangle, just so I can kind of size out what I need. So I'm going to change it to white so I can see what's going on, and I'm going to unlock this and change it to the 30 by 7.5. Okay, so this essentially is going to wrap around the lampshade. So I'm going to ungroup these pieces, and I'm going to start putting them, after I send this to the back, I'm going to start sizing them onto my lampshade. Now these pieces will all come separate in the file, so you can adjust it to your own lampshade. Do 4 snowflakes and call it a day. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of this rectangle, and then all we have to do is hit make. I'm going to do it on a mat, and then I am cutting on 8.5 by 11 paper. With how detailed this is, I would recommend cutting it on a heavier cardstock option. So instead of doing like the 65 pound, if that's what your package says, I would do 85, and that worked a lot better for me. Then you're able to easily peel the paper back, and this one, it is so key to make sure you are peeling the mat away. So flip it over and peel that back. I like to get rid of all the excess outside, and then you can peel off the little pieces of paper and what you're going to actually use for your project, so then that way nothing rips. Then I'm grabbing some just good old double-sided tape. You guys know I love this stuff. We're going to apply a couple little pieces onto it, and turn your lamp on when you're applying, because then you're really going to see where everything is going on. I am using those curves that I had from the file and how I lined it up in Design Space to put it on there. I'm not as worried about the opening in the back because nobody's going to see that, but I did do 2 Santas. So from Finn's bed when we're reading, you can see Santa, and you can also see it when you walk in the room from the door. The last step was to add my little snowflakes, and he was so excited when he came home from school and saw this. Each night he's like, oh, I can turn on my Christmas lamp for books, and during the day you wouldn't even know. So it's kind of like a secret surprise, and he absolutely loves it. So if you've got grandkids too, definitely try it. It's super easy and fun. Now, speaking of kids, here is another one that I love and we still use to this day. I grabbed a Dollar Tree nightlight. You can use whatever nightlight you have. You can also use this file that's over in my library on really anything. So you can put on a sign if you don't want a nightlight, but I think this is fun how it turned out. I grabbed one that lit up red and I measured it to find out that I needed a decal to be 2.5 inches wide to fit on there. Then I created this fun little Rudolph one, and this is a great way to use up scrap vinyl. Look how little these pieces are. I don't get rid of anything. I have a little file folder system. If you want to know how I organize all my stuff in my craft room and how it's laid out, I have a video on that. I will link it down below. But I cut them all out and then I apply it like layering. I also like to use parchment paper. I will show that throughout the video. That really just helps with the layering. And here, because I am going onto a hard surface that's like that acrylic, I'm not worried about needing paper transfer tape, so I'm just using a clear one. Once all my layers are applied, it's good to go. We've got this in the bathroom, and it glows up red to light the way in the middle of the night. It is so fun, and my kiddos love it. I was firmly on the bow train last year, and this year they are everywhere, so I wanted to make some felt ones. And the great news about this SVG that is over in my free file library is that you could also use these to cut out cardstock and make paper bows. So what I'm going to do is use my rotary blade, which I put into my B slot for my Maker 3. Don't worry if you don't have a Maker. If you buy stiffer felt, you can cut it with your regular blade. So no worries. I just like the rotary blade. I have one and I use it on this pink fabric grip mat, but again, you don't have to do that. Also, if you don't have felt, you can easily cut this out on any type of cardstock, or you could do construction paper. So many different options. All you have to do is hit start. These are all sized for you, so if you like the size of my bows, you can just go ahead and upload it and get ready to put them together. So for bow number 1, with the pointy pieces, you're going to add some glue to the center and fold up those 2 points to the center. Then you're going to add a little bit more glue and bring down those top 2 pieces. Also, don't have the glue get stuck to your finger like I did there and send it flying. Once those pieces are pushed down, we're going to take that long skinny piece at the top and wrap it around the center. And with this particular one, I also like to flip the tails down so they sit a little bit nicer, but you could do it either way. I just like to fold it and then wrap the center around. I'm going to use hot glue to make sure it's adhered all the way around, and you can trim any excess or if any of those little pieces are popping out. And then you are good to go. Option number 2 is going to be the one that looks kind of like a spider. We're going to do the same thing that we did with that first bow. So glue and 2 pieces in, glue 2 more pieces in, and then for this one, you're just going to wrap that piece right around the center and bada bing, bada boom. This one's good to go. Bow number 3 is a smaller one. This would be really cute for a hair bow or a bag charm even. You're going to glue the center of the big bow piece. I like to flip it over and glue it onto the tails then. Then you're going to take the larger center part, glue that down, and then wrap the 2 around the back. I made a few of these, and this would be really cute to glue the ends together and make a felt bow garland. So cute. And then our last bow can be done 2 ways. So you can either cut it out with the 3 pieces like I'm showing you here. Well, technically 4 for the center piece. I'll show you in a second. You're going to take these 2 pieces that kind of look like sunglasses. We're going to glue the 2 pieces to the center to create a bow shape. Then we're going to stack the small on top of the large, glue those together, and then we're going to glue it onto the little tails at the bottom. And then we are going to use our little strip of felt that also comes with this cut file, and we're going to wrap it around. Now for this particular one, I cut one a little bit longer because I wanted to add a clip, and because I loved this so much, I added clips to a ton of my other bows. I wanted to be able to clip it onto garlands or presents, and I am so glad I added these. These are actually just like little hair bow clips, but they work so well. Now the last one, like I said, is another variation of the one we just did, but you are going to have double of everything. So you cut the bow out twice. We're going to assemble it the same way as far as folding both of the edges to the center. And then you're going to take your 2 small bow pieces and glue them in a plus sign shape. And you're going to do the same thing with your 2 larger pieces. Then you're going to take your smaller T shape or X shape and do it diagonally on the other one so they're all sticking out in the 4 different directions. And then you are going to make a plus sign with the 2 bottom pieces and glue those together. Then for our last little piece in the center, we're just going to add some glue and create a center loop so it looks like an actual like present wrapping bow. And I love this one too. So you can use a file a few different ways. The clips make it so easy to hook it on to garlands, to flower arrangements, or even directly to presents. I'm going to be doing this. I saw May over at Home Sweet Pink on Instagram do elastic felt bows, and I was like, I didn't have any elastic on hand, so this is what I did instead, and the clip works great. And then you can reuse them year after year. So if you want to make some paper or felt bows, be sure to head to my free file library so you can check it out. And while we're on the topic of cute wrapping, here are 2 of my favorite Dollar Tree hacks for Christmas wrapping using your Cricut. I love to make custom bags because you can literally do whatever that you want. All you do is cut them out in regular vinyl, and the key here is to use paper transfer tape. I get mine on Amazon. I will link it down below, and that is going to allow you to apply the vinyl without ripping up the paper off the bag. How cute is this? Everyone from Buddy the Elf through to Cousin Eddie. I've got a Swiftie inspired one, regular Merry Christmas. All of these are available over in my free file library. And if you don't have paper transfer tape on hand, but you feel so inclined to do this, you can also do some of these larger files with just some painter's tape. So a couple different options for you in case today you're like, I want to make these bags right now. I don't have paper transfer tape. It doesn't come off as easy as you can see, but it definitely does work. Now, in the same vein of customizing those bags, you can also customize ribbon. It doesn't have to be Dollar Tree ribbon. You can get the ribbon literally anywhere. I like to do 3-inch plus because it gives me a little bit more room to work with, but you can put this on any ribbon. I get some heat transfer vinyl. I measure my ribbon, and then I just cut out whatever I want, whether it's to and from, Happy Holidays, Merry Christmas. I did some of these with some quotes from Christmas Vacation and put them in my Christmas Vacation tree. So tons of different options here, but all you have to do is take some heat, whether that be your iron, an easy press. I like this small one because it fits right where I need it. Go ahead and peel it off, and you can use these ribbons on your gifts, in your decor, on wreaths. So many options, and it's so quick and easy to do. Up next, I've got 2 different variations of nativity sets for you that you can whip up so fast. This, I'm using some scrap 2x4 that I painted white in 3 essentially different sizes. I guess 4, because you've got the big one in the back, Joseph and Mary, and then baby Jesus. I also used some Waverly antique wax to kind of rustic it up. And then I am cutting out these pieces. Just measure the width of your piece of wood, whether you're using a regular sign, 2x4s like I am, whatever you have, you can put it on whatever. Measure them, cut, and then just apply them again with that paper transfer tape. I think the silhouettes look so pretty, and this is a nice alternative to a full-on nativity scene, but it still gets the point across for the reason of the season. If you've been around a while, you know I'm always telling you guys to check out Dollar Tree, and these wood boxes are usually always in the craft section. I love to stain them and use them as signs. I grabbed 1 large and 2 small of these, and I did a similar thing, but instead of doing the white background with a black silhouette, I did the stained background with these white images. Again, that paper transfer tape is going to be your best friend because it is tacky enough to pick up the vinyl, but you're not going to rip up what is on the sign. It's also going to let it go when you go to peel it off like this. I have Joseph, Mary, baby Jesus on the big one in the center, and then 3 wise men, as well as some of the stable animals. And these, again, are really easy to put together, very inexpensive with Dollar Tree items, and a great way to practice your Cricut skills and get a fun piece of decor out of it. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm not a big cardstock person, but when I saw these files available on Etsy, I knew I had to make this garland. I have had these files from the Etsy shop Wilder Crafting for a while. When they came out, I knew I wanted to make something with them, and I decided I wanted to do the cardstock banner, and I also wanted to add some bows. So all I did is I uploaded everything, I added a bow file, and then just added an offset. And then what I like to do is if I have a bunch of different files, I like to go over here to material colors and make sure that all the greens are going to cut the same color, all the reds, etc., because I want it to look cohesive. This one bow is a little bit different than the red, as you can see, so I'm just going to grab this material color 7, put it on 4, and now all of my different colors are going to be all cut together. So then I'm just going to click make. I'm going to make it on a mat. And then I have 12 by 12 cardstock, so everything is going to be slotted out how I need it. So we're going to cut these out by color, and then we'll assemble. For projects like this, I love to have a multi-pack. This particular paper is from 12 by 12 Cardstock Shop. They sent it to me to try, and you guys, this cardstock is so nice. It really made the difference with my garland, so I was really happy to use that. I'll have more details on that down below. I'm just following the colors that Cricut tells me to cut, adding those to the mat, and then carefully peeling off all my pieces. I'm also sorting as I go, so then that way when it comes time to assemble, I'm not scrambling. Then to assemble, it's great because Tara at Wilder Crafting, she has all these time-lapse videos on her listings. So I just went there, played it in the background, and it really helped me easily put everything together. So then that way I knew how it was layered. It also helped because it showed what items she put like pop tape on to create a 3D effect. So I was able to follow along as somebody who is not big into cardstock. And I just used Dollar Tree pop tape, and this turned out so stinking cute. Definitely check out her shop on Etsy. She's got so many cute ones, and she also makes these and sells them. So she's got files that she doesn't make available that are exclusive. So she's got really cute ones there too. But I might make some Christmas cards or gift tags with these files as well. But they're so beautifully designed. They cut so well. I would definitely recommend. Then to hang them up, some of them I was able to pop holes like behind the ears if they were 3D. And if not, then I created a little loop on the back of extra felt, so then that way I could just run the baker's twine through there, so in case I needed to slide it up and down the piece of twine, I could do that. I am really proud of myself for how this turned out. It looks a lot like the listing photos, which makes me feel good because cardstock, I feel like, especially with the layering and everything, it is a little intimidating to me, but you know, we're trying things, we're getting outside of our comfort zone. I can't expect you guys to do it if I don't as well. And I'm really happy with how this turned out. So this will be so cute displayed for the Christmas season. A couple years ago, I shared this tray that I flipped from a thrifted tray that I bought, and you guys loved the design, but I couldn't share it because I created it in Design Space, and you can't export from Design Space. So I've created a brand new file similar to that, and I wanted to share it with you. We're going to put it on a sign made of fence pickets. I cut 2 pieces to 24 inches, and then I just cut down some scraps so they would hook the 2 together. This is a 1x4 it looks like, and some 1x2s. Then once I hooked it together with wood glue and some nails, I'm painting the entire thing black to make it look like a chalkboard base. Then I headed over to my Cricut to cut out this SVG file that will be free over on my blog. I cut it to 23¼ inch wide to fit on this particular one, and the SVG was designed to fit this one, but you can use it on whatever sign you want. So if you size it to 23½, it'll work for you. Now you're going to weed your stencil backwards, so instead of getting rid of all the outsides, you're going to get rid of where you want your paint to go when you stencil. You could also apply the vinyl, but I wanted it to kind of look like it was a chalkboard sign that you would see in like a little ski chalet or something, with a little nod to my favorite Christmas movie. If we haven't met before, or you haven't seen my Christmas Vacation videos, but you love the movie, we will be best friends. Christmas Vacation is my favorite movie ever, and I just love how this doesn't scream Christmas Vacation, but it definitely has nods to it. I applied my decal using paper transfer tape. I get mine on Amazon, and it is the best because it's going to allow you to stick this to your sign without it peeling up all the paint you just put down. Now I'm using the hinge method to apply this, so all you have to do is get your decal where you want it before you remove the backing. Take some painter's tape, masking tape, washi tape, whatever you have, and put a hinge in the center. Then you can take off one side, hinge it back, peel back the backing sheet like I'm doing here, and then you can apply it and then work your way through to the other side without worrying about it moving, because I will peel the back off and then be so afraid that I'm going to stick it and it's going to be crooked. And when you took this much time to weed a stencil like this, you definitely don't want to apply it all wonky. Then once everything's pushed down, I'm going to use some firm pressure to remove the backing. Some of it's popping off. I'm using Oracle Permanent 651 vinyl here. Just use your fingers to push it back down. Then because black was our base coat, I'm going to seal my stencil before I add any color with that same black color. I'm just using a disposable makeup sponge to dampen that paint on. Then I'm going to go through with the colors I wanted to use. So I used red, white, and green. I did red on the hot cocoa since 1989, the little mug, the candy cane. I did green trees, and then the rest of the details I did in white. You're just going to want to make sure there's not a ton of paint on your disposable makeup sponge when you're adding this. And so make sure you get rid of any excess and go up and down. I like that this looks like a chalkboard. It's not a perfect finish, but you may want to do a second coat if you want it to be perfect coverage. Then I'm peeling it back, getting rid of all the little pieces, and revealing my design. If you're interested in learning more about stenciling, if you've never done it before and you want a slower tutorial, be sure to head to the one up in the iCards or down in the description. I will walk you through step by step how to use it. I'm not a big fan of stencil vinyl. That's why I used the permanent vinyl, and I think this turned out perfect. So again, you can get this SVG over on my blog for free, and let me know what you create with it. I always do a happy dance in the aisle when I find some cute Christmas placemats at Dollar Tree that don't have glitter or anything on it. So we're going to do a dupe, a mixture of this Pottery Barn pillow as well as this Pottery Barn mat. I designed an entire file for you per the theme of this video, so you can go ahead and download it and cut it to 13 inches wide on iron-on vinyl. There's a couple pieces like red, green, and yellow that you cut out just little small pieces. Again, this is great for scrap, and we're going to weed all of those and get ready to press it. We're going to start with our big piece, and what I'm going to do is fold this in half and put a crease not on the vinyl but on the carrier sheet in the center. I'm going to fold my placemat over and create a quick little press line. Then you just line up the two lines, super easy to get it in the center, and then cold peel, peeling this off, and then it's time to add my pieces. So I started with my two legs off of the end and I pressed it with my little mini press, but you could also use an iron. While that's cooling, I'm going to add my hat to the top of the C. Then I'm going to go back to the feet, add the shoes, go back up, add the stripe to the hat. And my last step with a Teflon sheet to protect the rest of the vinyl is to add the little red feather from Buddy's hat. Now to turn this into a pillow, we are going to just take a little snip out of the back. Make sure you don't cut through. You want to peel apart the two pieces of the placemat and create just a little slot. Stuff that with some polyfill or whatever you have on hand that you normally stuff pillows with. And then I just took my dowel needle that I usually use to string up some garlands and stitch this bad boy up. I just went from the top to the bottom, looped it around all the way down, tied it off, and bada bing, bada boom, we're good to go. I am obsessed. I love that I added the hat and the feet because the original pillow didn't have that. Here's how you can make your own for a fraction of the cost. I was super excited to find these pillowcase covers because the back is blank. So you could easily customize the back and have it be a double-sided pillow or just lean it up. Nobody's going to see the back. I measured and realized that I wanted a decal that was 12 inches wide, and with heat transfer vinyl, there's a shiny side and a dull side. You want to make sure you put the shiny side down on your mat. Then you're going to load it into your machine, and the other thing you want to make sure that you click is the mirror setting. So this is what it looks like in Cricut, but make sure you do it on yours. That's just going to flip your design to work with the heat transfer vinyl. Up next, we're going to weed everything out. I like to take the inner pieces out first, and that will help your hand from sticking to the carrier sheet while you're weeding. Also for these cutout characters, I did the outside first and then worked my way in just so I didn't remove a piece of the face just because it was a little bit more intricate. And then it was time to press it. So I gave it a quick pre-press on the back, and you want to make sure you put down parchment paper or wax paper. I'll show you why in just a second. And then we are going to add the decals with that shiny side up. This is why you mirror, because you flip it over. I'm going to press at 320 degrees for about 15 to 18 seconds, but you're going to want to make sure to check the packaging of your heat transfer vinyl. Also, this is why we want to cover it, because the back is sublimation and it may transfer onto your press pad, so don't make the same mistake I did. Now mine is cool peel, so I let my heat transfer vinyl cool, and then I peeled off the carrier sheet, leaving this awesome pillow. My last step was to stuff it with some stuffing and decorate. I love this thing. It is so fun. I recently got a fun FaceTime call from my buddy Santa asking me to make one of these Santa sacks for him to fill when he comes to visit on Christmas Eve. Now, I know so many of you have some little friends that watch this, so in case Santa gives you a call as well, I wanted to give you this tutorial. The bags I'm using are just laundry bags I got in a pack of 2 for $13 from Amazon, and they take vinyl really well. The files that I provide you, or you can make your own into Design Space. You can click upload image up here and just upload those. I've got all 3 in here now. So now that we have the text on here, we're just going to size it so it fits within this box, and you can change the color if you want, but it won't matter here in a second. I want it to be this height, but I want it to spread out a little further on this red piece, so we are going to go to letter space and go to about a 2. Now if your box is a little wonky, you'll just have to stretch it to be bigger. And oh, it actually did 20. Let's do 2. Okay, let's maybe do 5. And you kind of play with it until it fits the size that you want. And actually this you may have to ungroup because it's an SVG. Yep, so we're gonna hit ungroup, select the fin as well as this, and hit slice down in the corner. Then you can get rid of your actual text, the slice portion, and then the name is cut out of that piece. So we want to make sure that things are attached, not just grouped. So group is specifically for while you're editing, attach is for when you're cutting. So I'm going to cut that black all together. I am going to cut all of that together. I am going to attach, and you can go through and click each group. That makes it a lot easier. So click group, attach, group, attach, group, attach. So now when we go to make it on mat, it is going to all be lovely on each mat, the sizes that you need. Once everything is all customized, then you are going to use your colors of choice to cut out the vinyl on your Cricut using that free SVG. Remember to mirror your settings and put your shiny side down on your mat because I made a miscut. Even after all these years, I still sometimes forget. It is the bane of my existence, but it's okay. I fixed it. Then I went through, weeded everything out, and then I set my heat press to 320 degrees. You want to make sure you check the settings on your particular heat transfer vinyl. And I like to press mine for between 15 and 20 seconds. I also like to do a pre-press to get rid of some of those deep inset wrinkles. But I left the middle one because it helped me be able to center my decal. What I like to do is fold the non-sticky sides together to create a crease in the center, and then that's going to help you line it up center on your bag. So on the first bag I did 'Twas the Night Before Christmas in the black vinyl. I'm holding this for, like I said, 15 to 20 seconds. And then my vinyl that I'm using is the Caesar Easy Weed, and it is a hot peel. You want to check the packaging because some heat transfer vinyls you peel when it's still hot, and other ones you need to let it cool down to completely set. So check the packaging, or you can Google whatever type you have. Just make sure you're not peeling incorrectly, because for so many years I peeled cold peels when they were hot, and it was a nightmare because they wouldn't stick. So learn from my mistakes. And bada bing, bada boom, Santa is going to have some fun bags to fill when he visits our house. So if you happen to get that special call from Santa for your kids or grandkids, you can come back to this video and create these, or you could just put your own gifts in them as well. You could customize what it says. It could say, you know, ho 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 from Grammy or from Gigi. You could also cut out a coloring page of their favorite character, so then after they take their gift out of the bag is also a gift. They could color on it with fabric markers. Every year when I share my Christmas decor, I always get a ton of questions about this Oh Holy Night sign that goes next to my nativity. It looks so pretty. It is the perfect size for the stable that I built, and I made the sign, so let me show you how easy it is to make. It was a scrap wood project, quick and easy. I'm going to cut it out just on some scrap vinyl. That's why I'm using this yellow color. It doesn't matter. We're just using it as stencil material. I find that the permanent vinyl sticks a little bit better than the stencil vinyl when I'm doing this method. Then we're going to trim it out and weed out all of the pieces like you would for a regular decal. So we're not doing a stencil. We're going to do the opposite. So it's like you were going to stick a decal on something. Once you've got that all weeded out, we're going to take our 1x8 piece and we're going to apply it with some paper transfer tape. I like this because you don't have to worry about it ripping up or doing anything to wood. And if you had a painted surface to begin with, it helps so that doesn't get torn up as well. Once it's applied to your wood, we are going to add a little bit of Mod Podge again. Then before we paint over the top, we're going to add some more Mod Podge. That is my secret ingredient when it comes to wood signs with Cricut materials. We're going to paint over the top with some white chalk paint in a light stroke, and it should all be stuck down, but I also just like to take extra caution when I'm doing this so I don't peel up any of those little pieces. And you can do as many coats as you want if you want full coverage. I did it a little bit splotchy here, which I like. It looks rustic. Then once you're dry, you're going to go through with a little bit tedious of a process, but the end result is worth it, and pull out all of those pieces of vinyl to reveal all of your words in the beautiful stained color. Now you can leave that as is or add a frame like I did here with some 1x2s and added it with my nailer. And here is how you get that beautiful effect. And I think it turned out so pretty, and hopefully this tutorial helped so you can create it yourself too. This next one is super sentimental. I made this last year for both my mom and my mother-in-law. It is a memorial lantern. I call it Holidays in Heaven, and I wanted to share it again because so many of you loved it last year, so here's how I put it together. This is actually a take on my friend Courtney's DIY that she did for Holidays in Heaven, saving your loved ones that have departed a chair. And I wanted to do it in a lantern where my mom could update it per each season. So I got these lanterns from Amazon, and I started by needing to rise up the bottom of it because I wanted to really be able to see the items in there. So I cut 2 pieces of cardboard to the same size that would fit in there while also allowing the door to shut. I glued them together, and then I covered the outside with just some burlap I had in my stash. This worked out great because I added glue and kind of wrapped it like a present using the hot glue, and it kind of looks like carpet. So it looks like you're almost looking in on like a living room, which is really the vibe I was going for. Once I made sure all the edges were glued down tight and that it would fit back into my lantern, I had to accessorize. So I ended up getting my chairs from Amazon, and all of the supplies I'm using for this project and everything else will, like always, be linked down below. But I wanted to let you know that anywhere that has like a doll section, so this is Hobby Lobby, you can find these accessories. I actually found this cardinal and little Christmas train at Michael's, and I am making this for my mom's parents. So if you've been around a while, especially lately, I've talked about my late grandparents on my mom's side, and so this is what I'm making for them. This Holidays in Heaven poem is a sign that I made for my mom years ago. I thought this was a great take on it and something that she can leave up year round because I didn't do Christmas in Heaven, I did Holidays in Heaven. So this cut file is free over my free file library, so if you'd like to make this or put it on a sign, you can do that as well. I just weeded it out on some black matte vinyl and applied it to the glass on the back of the lantern. I went back and forth on doing it like mirrored and then putting it on the back, but I decided to just put it on the inside because I think if she leaves it shut, it will be less apt to get dust on this part of the lantern. I applied it carefully to the back, and I applied it up a little bit higher because I'm going to have all that stuff underneath, so I wanted to still be able to read it while also seeing the items underneath. So with my carpet and the decal on the back, that's the base of this. And then for the Christmas one, I added a tree, a chair, the cardinal, and the train, as well as 2 little frames that I also got from Hobby Lobby. It's in their scrapbooking section. And I added a photo of both my Grammy and my Grampy. Now, if you don't want to put it in the lantern, you could also lean it up above or add it like an ornament. And I am really proud of how it turned out. I hope you enjoyed this video and crafting along with me. If you make anything with my free files, I would love to see it. Either tag me on all social media platforms at Whiskey and Whit, or you can email me at hello@whiskeyandwhit.com, and that comes right to me. I love to see what you guys create, especially with my files, because it's one of my favorite things to do is to empower you guys with free files, so then that way there is no barrier for you to get creating. Also, be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and also hit subscribe so you don't miss any future Christmas videos coming your way. And I will catch you in the next one. Bye!